Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Fast Break. I'm Taylor Hoth.
And I'm Donnie Kendall.
So, Donnie, let's get started right away with the hottest topics around the league. It's time for headlines.
Okay.
So, first headline, Russell Westbrook has finally passed Oscar Robertson for the most triple-doubles in a season. And I think we've all been expecting it, and it's finally happened now. And I think this, without a doubt, has to give him the MVP, and I'll tell you why. Because the MVP itself, it's a personal award, if you think about it. And this is an outstanding personal achievement. And the second reason I'll give you is it's an award that's given to someone who is deemed most valuable to their team. And I'm fairly confident without Russell Westbrook, the Oklahoma City Thunder wouldn't be winning many games.
You know, I do agree with you on that one, though, my friend Taylor. Now, let me just say this. Russell Westbrook has more triple-doubles this season than most teams have wins. So you know what I'm saying on that right there. It's just amazing that the man has 42, right?
Yep.
42 triple-doubles. That's like one every other game just about, if you look at it that way. But this individual achievement is an individual achievement within itself. However, some of these triple doubles have been, have kind of not really been like what they're made to be. The key to getting MVP is to have wins, more wins. And you look at James Harden out there in Houston, he's garnering up wins. You look at Kawhi Leonard, he's garnering up wins. Not taking anything away from Russell Westbrook. And I honestly do believe that he should get the MVP award, just like many other people are saying that he should. It's just my whole thing is like, we're just marking this individual achievement right here. Does it make him the forerunner for the MVP? I don't think so. I think it really comes to like how it affects the team play, the team stats as well too, and how they're supposed to be turning heads. That's how I look at what MVP should be. But nothing to take away from what he did. I mean, Oscar Robertson averaged a triple-double in the season. Russell's the second player to do so. And, he didn't win MVP. However, this is a great achievement, and I really don't see anybody getting close to this no time soon.
Right. And with the personal achievement, Russ is doing that on his own because, some of these triple-doubles have been ugly triple-doubles. Where he's shooting an awful percentage and he's being selfish with the ball, but I think he kind of has to. Who else is going to score on that team? Andre Robertson or Victor Oladipo? Not guys you want to give the ball who can consistently put the ball in the hoop.
Like you said with the whole selfish thing, though, too, like with that and these triple-doubles also comes maybe quite possibly an ugly triple-double as in like 10 turnovers in a game or something like that, or 9 or whatnot. The thing about the MVP is like you're valuable to your team. That's the whole thing right there. And Russell getting the rebounds, getting the assists, getting the points. I believe he's leading the team in all 3 of those categories. But I kind of agree with you to a degree. Are you going to really trust Oladipo to hit the game-winning shot, whatnot?
Right.
He's capable of doing so. But the bottom line is this. This is the Russell Westbrook show. This is his team. KD left, went to Golden State. And that took about a few good wins off of this team right there. But Russell held it together. Mm-hmm. That's all I'm saying.
Well, moving on, let's go to the Eastern Conference here. And we've had quite a shakeup the past couple of weeks in the Eastern Conference. We've seen the Cavaliers, they've rested some guys, and they've blown some games. And all of a sudden, the Celtics are half game, or they're usually one in the East or a half game behind. They're 1-2 now, and they're really giving Cleveland a run for their money. But do you think in the long run that Boston can give Cleveland a run for their money and maybe even win the Eastern Conference?
Realistically speaking, for me personally, I really do believe that Boston might be the only team in the East that can give them a run for their money in the Eastern Conference. However, you look at Cleveland going against, they got swept by the Bulls in the regular season, and the Bulls are fighting for life right now. And, that kind of thing, that hurts if you're supposed to be like the best team in the Eastern Conference the last 2 going on 3 years now, which is Cleveland going to the finals back to back. That kind of messes with you. And then the game they had against Atlanta, where they lost by 1, even though being up by 26 points, which is kind of funny. You look at Atlanta and the numbers, 25 or 26 point leads, and then, well, you know the rest. You saw the Super Bowl just like I did. But I honestly think Boston legitimately has a claim to get that number 1 in the conference. Also, to add on top of that, if they do get number 1, they might also have a shot at getting the number 1 pick overall in the lottery in the 2017 draft. Because, you know, they own the New Jersey Nets picks, I believe. But I can honestly see that Boston unseating Cleveland. However, Cleveland has a game or 2 left, and they got to hold strong.
Right, it's that whole battle between Cleveland and the star power and Boston and the team basketball, and it's we're going to see it played out in the next couple of weeks, which is going to come on top.
We'll see.
So, like we mentioned, the playoffs are just right around the corner, and there's some interesting matchups that may be lining up here, and I want to get your thoughts on the matchup in the Western Conference that you're really looking forward to.
You know, I'll be honest with you. A lot of people are looking forward to see what the Warriors do in the playoffs in the first round. We're looking to see what the Spurs are going to do. But me, the teams I'm looking at is the Utah Jazz versus the LA Clippers. All right, now this is where things get really interesting. The Utah Jazz have not really gone anywhere since Jerry Sloan resigned in 2010-11 season. They went through different coaches, interim coaches. They're still stuck with Snyder right now, and they're playing phenomenal basketball for the first time in those years. You know, you got Favors there. He's doing what he's supposed to do. Gordon Hayward is playing like a champ. He made the All-Star team.
Right. Gordon Hayward can even be considered one of the most underrated players in the entire NBA.
And I agree with you on that one, because when I remember during free agency, the Charlotte Hornets, Bobcats at the time, Charlotte wanted to sign him, but Utah matched that offer, and he's proven that he's worth every single penny. And I know other teams are looking for him, so this is his time to run the show, you know, to get that post 82 game season out the way and get into this postseason and play his best. But there's another guy that people are sleeping on, and that's Rudy Gobert, who I think should win Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, look what he's done, and plus, look at him in the post. Look at his passing, man. Behind the back passes. You know, who can stop that? Really.
Right. In the West, I'm really looking forward to Rockets Thunder. Now, this matchup has everything you want. It's got Westbrook, Harden, the two guys who have been battling for the MVP pretty much all year. It's got kind of that rivalry because Harden, you know, used to be part of that kind of big three there in Oklahoma City with Durant as well.
Right.
And this is going to be a shootout. That matchup's going to be a shootout, just pure and simple. There's not going to be a ton of defense, and I'm really interested to see who leads their team more and who really can advance their team to the next round, because it's going to be interesting to see with that matchup.
I think with that one, it's going to be like the last man standing for who's going to be who's the true MVP of the league. Because I mean, you only get like 4 out of 7 chances, 4 out of 7 if necessary, to get to the next round, and this would be a clear case to see who's like the better leader.
Right. What about the Eastern Conference? What matchup are you looking forward to?
The Eastern Conference. Wow. I'm looking forward to to Boston, Indiana. It's just so much history there with Boston and Indiana. Like I said, I'm an old school guy. I go back to like the playoffs of 1992 when the Pacers with Chuck Person and Reggie Miller versus the Celtics when they had their big three, even though the clock was winding down there. I would love to see a really good series out of both of them. I'll go bold and say I'm picking Boston to get out of the first round over them, but I think it's going to be a really good series because Paul George has a lot to prove right now.
Right.
And Isaiah Thomas, come on, like we said, king of the fourth. Mm-hmm. It's amazing what he's going to do out there, but you got to have guys like Horford show up too, and Crowder and Bradley and the rest of the squad.
Right. Real quick, my Eastern Conference matchup is Toronto-Milwaukee. Why I'm really interested in this one is it's kind of a tale of two seasons for both teams. You've got Toronto, who seems to have fallen off a little bit. They were these kings of the Eastern Conference besides Cleveland. They were that shimmering hope that somebody could beat Cleveland, and they've slipped a little bit this year. But probably the bigger story here is the Milwaukee Bucks. I mean, they're going to make the playoffs, and I think at the beginning of the year, if you would have asked either of us, would the Milwaukee Bucks, be matching up with the 3 seed in the East? You'd be like, probably not. Maybe a couple more years.
Yeah.
But I think this series is going to be a really good time for Giannis to really shine and show us how great of a player he actually is, because it's not going to be easy to go into Toronto and beat Toronto.
Right.
So, I'm really looking forward to that matchup. So, it's time for that age-old debate. Jordan, Kobe. Donnie and our good friend Quentin Brandt are going to help us fight out that debate in a new game we like to call Debate Me. All right, so I think we're ready here. So how it's going to work is you're each going to have 2 minutes to present your case, and no interruptions when the other one's talking. And then after each person has given their 2 minutes, you'll have a minute rebuttal to kind of respond to what they've said. So both you guys ready?
Yep. I'm ready.
All right. Donnie, you will go first. You will be presenting the case for Michael Jordan. And begin.
Well, you know what? Let's just begin with this one. 6 championships in 8 seasons. He's also a 2-time Olympian, 1984, when he was after his junior year of college in North Carolina, and in 1992 as one of the original members of the Dream Team. Michael Jordan went on to go play baseball. Yes, this is true. Probably something he should have never done. That is definitely a career blooper on his part. But he did come back in the 94-95 season, the last 17 games of the season, to get his team to the playoffs. We're in number 45. Bad choice, of course, but it's what he's done overall in his career. He never missed a game unless he was hurt or something like that. Never complained about anything. Played through bad foot pain. Missed 64 games his second season. Dropped 63 on the 85-86 Celtics, one of the greatest teams in NBA history. Michael Jordan, top 5 scoring of all time. Michael Jordan, one of the greatest defenders. He won the MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, and All-Star MVP, 1987-88 season. 2 three-peats. I mean, who knows, they could have won all 8. Houston got their little 2, Jordan retired, but that's a whole different story right there. Michael Jordan did so much for the NBA. He did so much for the game. He has his own logo. He has Jordans, man. Michael Jordan, his scoring output was just amazing. He has won, 10 scoring titles. 7 in a row, the retirement, coming back for that part of the season, and his last 3 seasons with the Bulls, he won 3 scoring titles. He's won the All-Star MVP, 3 times, I believe. Regular season 5 times, NBA Finals 6 times. Didn't have a great center on his team, but he had a great cast, and he made everybody look good on that court.
All right, Donnie, those are your 2 minutes. Great points. Now, Quentin, you will be next presenting the case for Kobe Bryant. And begin.
All right, I'm just going to say this real quick. Kobe Bryant only has 1 MVP. We're all aware of that and everything. But just like, I argue with many other people too. He was robbed of at least 1, if not 2 MVPs because of the Steve Nash little era thing. There's no way he should have won any of those. Kobe should have at least 1 of them, if not both of them. Maybe the other one going like Tim Duncan or Dirk, and everything like that. And I'm also going to say he is currently the only player retired or active with at least 6,000 assists and over 30,000 points. LeBron James is going to join him shortly. That's obvious, I think, and everything like that. And then he's also 3rd in points ahead of MJ. And he has more all defensive teams than Jordan does. He has 12. MJ only has 9. So I'm personally going to give Kobe the edge on defense. And I also am going to argue too that Kobe played in a slightly tougher era than Jordan did, because you look at the teams, superstars too. He had a young LeBron James to compete with. He had Dwayne Wade in the early and mid 2000s, Dirk, Tim Duncan, Father Time, arguably one of the probably top 3 players of all time too, and everything like that. And and I'm going to talk here a little bit about the Shaq and Gasol argument too in a little bit, but I just personally think Kobe made his teams better, because even with assists, Jordan's 43rd on assists. You could argue the whole, year off here and then the 3 years of retirement. My question though is, did Jordan even really want to play basketball anymore at that point? Or was he just, yeah, you accomplished everything, let's go try minor league on baseball. But I think Kobe was a better competitor and wanted it more.
All right, some real great points all around here. Donnie, you'll have a minute to respond to anything Quentin said or clear up any points that you've said, and your time begins now.
Kobe Bryant played 20 seasons in the NBA, right?
Mm-hmm.
Michael Jordan played 15 if you want to count the time with the Wizards. Kobe Bryant has how many all-defensive teams? 12. How many of them are first team?
I don't have that stat handy for me.
Okay, that's okay. I don't have to know me either. You're good. MJ had 9. Kobe Bryant had Shaquille O'Neal, and I know what you're going to say. He came into a team that had all-stars, or pretty much soon to be all-stars. He came in with a point guard like Nick Van Exel starting. He had Eddie Jones, who he was backing up. You had Shaquille O'Neal. Who did Michael Jordan have when he got to the Bulls? Was it Steve Johnson and Quentin Daly? A lot of people don't even know who those guys are. Michael Jordan carried the Chicago Bulls. Yes, he was getting knocked out the first round by Milwaukee and Boston his first 3 years. But then you bring in a young guy like Scottie Pippen. You draft Horace Grant. And then you fire Doug Collins. You got Phil Jackson. Kobe had Phil Jackson as his coach too. I mean, so it's safe to say that if I had Phil Jackson as my coach, just like Kobe did and Mike did, I could win me some rings, right?
All right, Donnie, I'm going to stop you right there. All right, Quentin, you also have a minute to respond to anything Donnie has said or clear up any points you've made, and your time begins now.
I know you just didn't say you could win championships if you have Phil Jackson. You might be if you're the ball boy. All right? But here are some facts. You claim Shaq, all good, all this, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, he's good, but he's 7'1", 325 pounds. If I was 7'1", 325 pounds, I could dominate in the paint too. Anyone can. He can't shoot free throws. He can't shoot outside the paint. And then, I would say, Kobe's best teammate was Gasol. And still, Gasol had less points than Shaq by a lot when they were together and everything. And then, I'll give props to Derek Fisher. He was a great floor general and everything. Didn't really contribute too much, but he made sure everybody was doing their job right and everything. But I am still saying Kobe's the best player of all time, and these are just facts. All right, I already said he's the only player with 6,000 assists and 30,000 points.
All right, well, that's all the time we have for this. Some excellent points made here, and probably this isn't the end of this argument. We could probably have an entire show devoted to this. We're going to have Quentin stick around here because it's now time for our top 3 centers of all time and currently in the NBA. So, Quentin, why don't you kick us off here with your number 3 center in the NBA currently? Currently.
My number 3 NBA center right now is Rudy Gobert for Utah Jazz. I know you touched on it a little bit too, how he has an outstanding season on both sides, really. I mean, this year he's averaging almost 5 points more, and he's getting about 4 more rebounds too than he was throughout his other career and everything. So, and he's shooting pretty good too. He has 66% field goal percentage, and about 66 from the line too. So I think right now, he's really underrated, and I think within the next few years he's going to talk about a lot more, and possibly even MVP discussion too. It just depends and everything. I just don't think he gets a lot of coverage because he plays for the Jazz.
Right.
My number 3 right now might be a little surprise. It's Al Horford. 14 points per game, 7 rebounds, 48% from the field, 4-time All-Star. I think maybe he's a little bit even underrated too. I mean, he was the glue of those Atlanta teams. He was the best player along with probably Paul Millsap. And he's been a real good piece for the Celtics this year to go along with Isaiah Thomas. And maybe a stretch, but I'm going with him at 3. Donnie?
You know what I'm going to go with and say this, and it's maybe the first time you'll ever hear me say this, but my number 3 is the same as Quentin's. I just love the way Rudy Gobert is playing. I mean, I know a lot of people on social media was giving him flack either early this season or last season about getting dunked on so many times, but that's what comes with the job when you're a rim protector. You got to go up there. Whether you're going to get your hits, you're going to get your misses.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
The fact that this man that a lot of people are just joking on because of that, and also that he's never come up in the conversation until like really the end of last year up until this year, that he's getting rebounds, he's blocking shots, he's getting his team involved in the paint. And with a guy like Gordon Hayward, and you have more players on that team like George Hill at the point guard, it's just, he's a good player to build around. And he makes that team look really good. Now, he's my number 3 for those reasons alone.
Quentin, who's your number 2?
My number 2 is, going to be a little bit of curveball for you guys, but I went with DeAndre Jordan. And, kind of the same reason with Rudy Gobert. He's averaging, about 4 more points this year than he is throughout the rest of his career. He's averaging about 4 more rebounds. And, we all know how he can't shoot free throws, but that's a whole different argument. And, a lot of big guys can't shoot free throws. So,
True.
I mean, it just kind of goes how it is. I think, we already know how well DeAndre Jordan is, like, on defense and in the paint and everything.
Oh, yeah.
So, he's dominant in the paint. So that's why I gave him second.
My number 2 is Karl Anthony Towns. What a player he's turned out to be, and for being so young. 24.9 points per game, 12 rebounds. He was Rookie of the Year last year, and he carries that Minnesota team. And this Minnesota team's kind of had maybe a disappointing season to where we thought they could be. But I think the Timberwolves have a real special player.
Yeah, I would agree on that.
Now, see, I'm kind of torn right now on my number 2. My original number 2 didn't play enough games this season. So I'm going to just get his name out there before I get to my number 2. Joel Embiid. I mean, yes, the process, he's been on the shelf. He was on the shelf for 2 years. Now he's back on the shelf, but I feel he's going to be stronger than ever. But the man could hit 3-pointers, rebound, block shots, pass, do all those things. But if I'm going to go with someone that's active and that's still played more games, I got to agree with you on Karl Anthony Towns. The way he just plays, and he's only going to get even more better. He's going to get better. Like, he can hit the outside shot. Like, he reminds me so much of like an Anthony Davis in a sense. There's more growth going with him. As he won the Rookie of the Year last year, there's no telling what he can do. And I feel like in the next few years, he might be up for that MVP discussion. But as long as Minnesota, does right by having the talent like him and Wiggins on that team, and they go places, he'll be up there. So I got to go with him as my number 2.
Quentin, who's your number 1 right now?
My number 1 right now is, it shouldn't be too much of a surprise. It's going to be Boogie, DeMarcus Cousins. I think, just for obvious reasons, I think he is, just the dominant big man right now in the league, besides, like Anthony Davis and other power forwards and stuff. But at the center, there's no reason why he should not be number 1, I don't think. I mean, yeah, he all the technicals and everything, that needs to be worked on, but that's a different issue to address and everything. And I think once, with him in New Orleans, once they get him and Anthony Davis all figured out, I think that's going to be a really good combo. Even if they, are like an AC against Golden State, because you look at it and, Golden State biggest flaw like last year in the conference finals with OKC was big man. They couldn't control the big man, OKC's big man. So I think if they can, get that figured out, they can be a true threat in the West.
I would totally agree with you. My number 1 is DeMarcus Cousins as well. 27 points per game this year, around 11 rebounds. He can really stretch the floor. He's learning that 3-ball. And I think the only negative thing about DeMarcus Cousins and maybe wanting to build a team around him is his negative personality.
Oh, yeah.
So, Donnie, number 1?
And I neglected to mention this one guy earlier before I get my number 1. And I know y'all tired of me doing this, giving splits and stuff. My honorable mention goes to Jokic, man. The Joker from Denver. The way he's playing, man, like, he's getting triple doubles too. No one's really talking about him, but he's a big man. He hustles. He gets the rebound. Can even knock out the perimeter shot if need be. I should have put him in as my main, but my number 1 across the board has got to be Boogie, man. The same reasons you said. I mean, like, yes, his attitude and his temper is a detriment, and it kind of will turn people off in free agency once he gets there. But come on, man. The man can knock down the 3. He can dribble. He can shake and bake, man. Name a center like that can do all that kind of stuff right now. Nobody. And I tell you one thing, though, man. When he has somebody that's in his corner like a coach or teammates, he's going to give his all. He stands up for his teammates too, and that is a beautiful thing I like about him. All the negatives that we see about him, they mask the positives that we we don't get to see, or we get to see like very rarely. But he's a good player, and he is definitely number one, man.
All right, so let's switch to the past. Quentin, who's your number 3 center of all time?
Number 3 center of all time, going to come with a shock, but I am going to say the dynasty, the Great Wall, Yao Ming. Yep. See, that's the expression I was expecting from you. You know, but in his short stint in the NBA, you know, before he had sort of trouble with all his knees and foot and everything, but you know, you expect that when you're 7'6".
Okay.
You know, he was averaging, you know, about 20 points, about 10 rebounds or so, and you know, for him being 7'6", guess what his free throw percentage was?
High 80s?
About 83.
Man.
From the line.
Okay.
You know, and you want to talk about, you know, pass rates and stuff like that. You know, that's so much better than Shaq. Which,
Clearly.
you know, I would, you know, trust myself to run a marathon without passing out with Shaq making a free throw for me. So yeah.
Fair point. Okay. My number 3 is Dikembe Mutombo, and almost 10 points per game, 10 rebounds, the master of the block. I mean, you've even seen him in commercials blocking stuff. He's a good character guy, 8-time All-Star Hall of Famer, and just a really good person, good player, and I think easily number 3. Donnie?
Now, you know, when this subject got brought up, I was tossing and turning like, I can give you 5, I can give you 10, but I just can't narrow it down to 3. And so it kind of hurts me this much to do this, but somebody is getting cut out of my 5 to be in my 3. But number 3 is Hakeem Olajuwon. Let me tell you, man, Hakeem Olajuwon is one of the greatest centers of all time. He changed the game for centers from 84 all the way up, and heck, even to now, even though he retired in 2002 or 3, I believe. I mean, he was in college, went to NCAA championships, came up short, part of Phi Slamma Jamma, but we're not talking about his college career, we're talking about his NBA career. Led the league in blocks and rebounding. The guy has one of the sweetest signature post moves of all time. That's the dream shake. He'll get you going. Won the MVP. His rivals, David Robinson, Alonzo Mourning, Shaquille O'Neal, destroyed them guys. And he made wearing goggles popular in the 90s for big men also, too.
All right, so real quick, give me your number 2 and one reason why. Quentin?
Number 2 is Hakeem, the dream. Also, you know, I just think, you know, he was just dominant all the way around, really.
My number 2 is Bill Russell. 11 championships, headlined those Celtics teams.
Number 2 would have to be Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, really because he really gets overlooked in the conversation of big men, and he was at one point the all-time leading scorer for like a good 20-some years.
All right.
He's still going. Sorry.
Number 1, all right, just real quick.
I was going to say something. Bill Russell played in the, like, probably the softest era ever.
Besides the point here.
Anyways, my number 1 from the past is going to be Big Patrick Ewing.
Ooh,
And
okay.
I know, it's a little bit of a surprise, but, you know, he got about 21 points a game, and, you know, he could play both center and power forward, so I think that gave him a little bit more versatile, and then the other big man from the past, where they're, you know, just centers.
Yeah.
And so it opened them up to having, like, another big man, too.
Okay.
My number 1's Wilt Chamberlain. 30 points per game, scoring machine, 4-time MVP, he's in the Hall of Fame.
Well, dang, I'm just going to say this. My number 1 is also Wilt Chamberlain as well, too. And here's my reason why as well. The man scored 100 points in the game without using a three-point line.
And arguably also one of the softest era in basketball.
They had like 9 or 10 teams, I understand that, but still. And he
I
was
could probably score 100 points in that era.
you probably couldn't score 100 points on 2K, man. Chill. Stop.
All right, I'm sure we could have this argument too forever. That's our top 3. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let us know. Thank you again, Quentin, for helping us.
Appreciate it.
All right, it's time for our closing shots. Player of the week. Donnie, who's your player of the week?
My player of the week is none other than Jimmy Butler, man. Jimmy G, he gets buckets, man. The way he's been scoring, playing, trying to rally his team to the playoffs at the last second, I admire that. Hope they get in. Good luck, Bulls.
My player of the week, Steph Curry. The Warriors been slowly getting back on track. KD's back. Steph's been shooting the ball. Man, they're dangerous when Steph's shooting that 3. So that's all the time we have for today. We hope to see you next time on the Fast Break. So until next time, stay safe, stay cool, and keep balling.
Balling.